Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So our project is about turning the current Nimble website into a Watch.com site by using 3JS. So what is 3JS? 3JS is a lightweight JavaScript library that can provide us the ability to create and display the animated 3D content on the website. And also, it may be used in conjunction with the HTML5 canvas elements SVG and WebGL. So to be able to uh, render the 3D, we have to know 3 components. Like the first one is the camera, which is represent the point of view, and the screen allow us to set up what and where to render. The lighting control the direction of the lights and shadows. And the next thing is the storytelling. Uh, this is the form of storytelling, also called the narrative visualization. It consists of creating a logical sequence of related visualization or virtual elements needed to convey the message to an audience in an engaging and effective way. Next, we're gonna talk about more tools that we are using.
Yeah. So one of the main tools that we were using is this thing called Lottie files, which can be considered as GIFs that we can play back and forth. So we use Blender to recreate a 3D scene that we can represent using 3JS. And for other aspects of the website, we can just use a Lottie file. Normally, previous versions before Lottie existed, we would use a PNG sequence, just a huge bunch of PNGs, but that would take a lot of file size. And later on, then people started using GIFs. And even though it's good, it's quite big and not really as good quality, but with Lottie, it's much smaller, so it's easier to play back. We use After Effects to recreate a sequence, and then we export it as a Lottie file. And Lottie is an open source animation format. So yeah, basically a fancier version of GIFs. So while we're scrolling, we're basically telling the website, these are the different sections, and we want the animation to play from this part to this part. So imagine if a Lottie file consists from 0 to 100%, we can define each section. So let's say 5 sections are in there. We can say from 0 to 20% is the first section, 20% to 40% is the second section, and so on. And then we can also do some other cool effects like text opacity, X and Y position, and we can play back an animation. So the grand demo, what everyone was waiting for, what we built for so long. It's the best part. Introducing. Da, da, da. This is. So as you can see, there's a slight shake in the camera. We have the 3D scene, and we have
delay.
Yeah, there's a slight delay. It's not because it's the yeah. So normally it's very slick. It's very smooth. Yeah, and the best part, refresh the page. You see the triangle? It's random. Oh my god, like the original website. Trust me, this took a lot longer than definitely. It's hard stuff.
So what part is Lottie?
We're getting to that.
Oh,
okay. All right. Next. Where is this? Whoa! Oh my god! This uses a special GLSL. We use a thing called a GLSL file, which is made in C, by the way, and we play that. We just do a lot of fancy math to do this sort of animation. Yes, and the reason why it's on a separate page is because we were trying to split the work, and then when we tried to integrate it, we were like, oh shit.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. So we'll keep it separate for now. There are other cool effects. So for example, like this one is like a sort of on hover, it like pops out, and we have like the amusement park clown image mirror thing. And then finally, we come to the best part. Our website. Introducing the new Nimble. You can see on the cursor, it slightly lags behind like every other cringe awards.com website. And as you keep scrolling, this is where the lottie file comes in. So it's like a nice, neat animation, and it's a form of storytelling where it's at the user's pace. While they're scrolling, it will just appear, and then it can stop at any point. And then we can define all these different sections. Each of the cubes represent a different section here. And then, let's go to the end. Beautiful. Now let's go over. All right. So let me quickly go back here to remember. All right. Yeah. So let's showcase what exactly we were trying to do and what we were trying to replicate. This is another company known as Cuberto, and they have like a lot of cool stuff. You can see like there's this video playback, and there's this cool on hover effect. At this scroll, they have a very smooth scroll. It's difficult to see here, but if you actually go to the website, cuberto.com, it's very smooth. And then they have the portfolio here, where when you hover over it, you see they use the same effect where they're like morphing the image. And then they also can have this neat little transition where it just like melts away. And yeah.
They have a few designers in their company.
Yeah, they definitely have a few designers and content developers. So yeah, this is their website. But me, I want to rip this apart and see what their actual site is without 3JS. And it's more basic. They have like the basic on hover effects. And as you can see here, it is completely static. It's just simple website, but it does its job correctly, and it's really nice. It's got this like, it's just minimal, it's just to the point, and they have still some other effects too.
I like it.
Yeah, even without 3JS, it's really good. So comes to the final point, what makes a website awards.com worthy? It's not just 3JS. It's not just fancy animations. It's something more than that. It's other effects like smooth scrolling and maybe the blur animations and making full use of CSS, parallax, minimal design, good design practices. All of these combined, and 3JS is simply a thing that takes it to the next level. And yeah, so the lesson to take away, 3JS is not a silver bullet. I thought just 3JS will make the best website. No, it doesn't. Arigato. Does anyone have any questions?
Is Lottie really that much smaller than GIFs?
I don't know. That's what Mike told me.
You didn't check. I was the designer.
I checked, and it seems small, but I need to compare it with GIFs. I think
they are pretty small, but I didn't know that they're like more than twice as small as GIFs.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I heard that you tried to do with GSAP, but you turned into 2JS. What's the reason why you
Because we couldn't rip off enough code from some. I mean, okay, we used GSAP at the beginning, but the main intention was always to use 3JS. We were looking at GSAP websites, but then 3JS is just a simpler. Like we found it to be much more easier to get into. But not easy enough that we can finish in 1.5 days.
Okay. Question: how much longer than 1.5 days did it take you? Because I remember you struggling with displaying that 3D content a month ago.
Yes, I was like blowing my mind. So let's say we took maybe an extra day, give or take.
Okay.
So, but we're being honest here. Like most of the other stuff we were experimenting, and we didn't actually like. That's just the work as it is.
The final result of 3JS is Canvas or SVG, or we
well, the one we were using is Canvas, and that was one of the main issues that we had trying to integrate both like our works together. Because since we're both trying to generate one canvas, but the way the 3JS library works is the canvas acts as a second layer on top of your website.
Yeah.
So as you're scrolling through your website, there's also this other layer that's scrolling with it, just so it can play the fancy effects. So I'm pretty sure you can do something with SVGs, but we just stuck with Canvas.
Okay. Last question, Carol. So, they support responsive.
What?
They support responsive on mobile.
Is it?
Responsive.
Yeah, responsiveness. Yeah, definitely. There's responsiveness on mobile as well.
Do you get the same effect?
Oh yeah, you absolutely do. It depends on that. Comes in like it's a lot of work, definitely, because you have to say like each element. If you specify the element has this certain animation, then it will stay. And we also there are special functions where we have resize to ensure that we re-render the canvas when we resize the what you call it, the browser. So it all depends. Yeah. Because the way the canvas works is that it needs to render itself. It first takes the elements from the page and then it renders everything. So if you resize it and you don't have a resize function, it won't re-render the canvas. The effects get pushed off to the side.
Okay. And another question is if we implement this one, it requires more work from the designer side or from the developer side.
That's where it's a really tough question because it's like a mixture of both. A designer would need to be able to reproduce like the GLSL files to have the 3D models and exactly know what effects he's going for. So he has to have very in-depth knowledge of what like 3GS does, so developer knowledge. And for the developer, he also needs to be able to like it's a really big field in order to understand. So yeah. It requires a lot more work, but it's definitely worth it. And that's why people as like an enhancement. It's something that is different. But with core practices, we can still make a really good website.
Okay. Is there any else question?
Yeah. Do you have any original design to show us?
Original ideas?
Yeah, we have this website. What you call
Oh, you mean the one that's copied completely from that one we
it?
showed?
What do you mean? Our favorite developer, Mike, made this beautiful site.
Oh, that was great. I actually like that fact. That looks nice.
See? Original.
But there's one thing you didn't steal. What? Like on that site, the tracking thing, it had like a video inside of it, instead of just a red dot. Didn't it? Another website, it had like a big circle that followed you.
Oh yeah, no, we do have it. We do have it. Hang on, I should probably present this. Where is this? Present.
I only saw a small red dot following your mouse.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That site had a much bigger one.
Look, it's amazing.
Oh.
Made from our favorite double rear mic.
Beautiful. We need an upgrade for the website.
Exactly. I don't know why I presented just to show that tiny little dot move around.
Oh, it was worth it. Thank you.
Is there any other questions?
No, let's get the last presentation.
Okay.